Chapter 2. Nancy dashed to the edge of the pier, ready to dive in. But Roger Harlan had beat her to it. His shoes were off, and he was in the water in an instant. Maggie Adams' head broke the surface. "Help! Please!" she sputtered desperately. I'm not a good swimmer." She spit out a mouthful of water. Everybody crowded around, staring silently at the two figures in the water. "The rail must have rusted," Tom Fortner said to Bettina. "Stay calm," Roger was saying to Maggie as he threw an arm across her chest. "I'll get you out." He swam with her to the edge of the pier, where Tom reached down to pull her to safety. Panting for breath, Roger boosted himself onto the pier as everyone applauded. Shivering, Maggie tried to reassure the people on the pier. "I'm fine," she faltered. "Thanks to Roger. I'm just cold, and my heart is pounding like crazy." Shrugging out of her wool jacket, Nancy draped it around Maggie's shoulders. Maggie flashed her a grateful look. Flash! Flash! A reporter from one of the daily Chicago papers was snapping pictures of the drenched girl. Her soaked hair hung in stringy ropes over her face, and she was missing both shoes. With her shoulders hunched against the chill wind, Maggie appeared to be small and scared. "Nice human interest filler," he said to one of the crew members. "I love when they fall in your lap." "Please don't take any more pictures," Tom pleaded. "Sorry, buddy," the reporter said with a shrug. "It's a free country, remember? The people have a right to know. Hey, Roger, that's great. Keep your arms around her. Boy, the readers are gonna eat this up. Prince Charming saves drowning beauty. Could this mean romance?" "How rude," Kelly Conroy said as the reporter walked away laughing. "Are you okay, Maggie?" Maggie smiled bravely through chattering teeth. I think so." She looked up at Roger gratefully, and he smiled back down at her. Nancy wasn't the only one who noticed the attraction between them. She saw Heather Richards staring at the drenched couple. If Heather wasn't crazed with jealousy, she was doing a great imitation. "That means I won't be in the shoot, doesn't it?" Maggie said, blinking away her tears. "It's not really part of the contest," Kelly Conroy said, trying to comfort her. "It's just a publicity shot." "I know," Maggie said weakly, "but my family will be disappointed." A big gust of wind blew off the lake, and Maggie shuddered. "You're going to freeze out here," Kelly said, "and the last thing you need is to catch a cold." "I'm pretty cold, too," Roger Harlan said, tightening his grip around Maggie's shoulders. "Why don't I take you back to your hotel and we can both get dry and warm?" Maggie returned his intense look with a startled but pleased one of her own. "Okay," she said, nodding. She and Roger hurried to a cab someone had flagged down for them. Everyone watched them slip inside, two shivering figures now huddled together for warmth in the back seat. Nancy glanced over at Heather, who clenched her hands into fists so tightly that her knuckles were white. "Well, the face of the year is off to quite a start," Kelly said to Nancy as they watched the shot being reset. "I'm surprised the city doesn't check these railings more often," Nancy said, wondering if iron railings did just give way. That was really dangerous. Maggie could have hit her head on one of those huge boulders lining the pier. Was it an accident, she wondered? Or was it planned? "I know," Kelly agreed. "It's scary." "Help! I'm sputter, not a good swimmer." Nancy heard someone imitating Maggie's desperate cry. She turned in the direction of the voice. While the crew repositioned the lights, Heather Richard had walked up to the photographer and was now doing a bad imitation of Maggie. Imagine the picture that reporter got of her. She looked like a drowned rat. It should be charming, she purred. The photographer was obviously uncomfortable, but Heather continued anyway. Oh, and that hair! Don't you just love the dead mermaid look? Nancy walked over to where the other girls were standing. What a witch! Bess seethed. How can she be yucking it up at a time like this? Oh, Heather thinks we're all a riot, Allison Williams remarked quietly. When I told her I was from Tennessee, she asked me if it was really in the United States. And according to her, only blue-eyed people should use blue eyeliner, Trudy Wu added saucily. She says it looks weird on someone like me. Really? She told me my jacket would look great in a stable, Carrie Harper joined in. She said my haircut was totally retro. What was that supposed to mean? Diana Amsterdam wondered aloud, fingering her mop of black curls. I don't think it was anything nice. Trudy narrowed her eyes and glared at Heather, who was still flirting with the photographer. Well, she may not have been nice to any of us, but I noticed she's been as sweet as pie to the people from Smash and Elan, Allison said. Nancy stepped away from the contestants and wandered closer to Heather. Can you imagine? Heather was telling the photographer. I was supposed to be standing in Maggie's spot. That could have been me. Yes, thought Nancy, nodding her head slowly. It could have been. She looked more closely at the iron railing next to her. It had a simple design composed of vertical bars that gleamed in the afternoon sun. If Nancy guessed right, the railing wasn't more than a few years old. People, can we finally get started? Bettina wailed. Remember, Elan is paying for this shoot. Let's do it. The photographer stepped in front of the girls. Let's get a few of you with your arms out wide. Careful of the people next to you. And now, big smiles, the photographer told them. Nancy looked over at the contestants and smiled. Bess was finally getting her first taste of modeling. Taking a deep breath, Nancy strolled casually back to where they'd first been shooting. She moved right up to the broken railing. With a gasp, she reached out to touch it. Tom Fortner had been wrong. The railing wasn't rusty at all. In fact, it was almost perfectly smooth, except for the jagged markings of a saw. It seemed that someone had cut through the railing on purpose. End of chapter 2.